Okay. Peace and blessings, brothers and sisters, kings and queens, chiefs. My name is Alpha Quabo. I'm going to be your moderator for today. It's such a pleasure to have this meeting to talk about Africa. So, we first, I will give you the agenda of this meeting. This meeting is put together by the organization called African Views that aim to unite all of us as African around the world. So we have the founder that will enlighten us all about the aims, the objects, what the organization is about. And then we decide to invite some of our traditional leaders, activists, uh, to hear what the founder has to say. So the founder, which is our great brother, he gave me the the honor to be the moderator, which is I will do. He will introduce himself, uh, as well as we're gonna ask everybody to introduce himself as well. To just give you the agenda today, uh, we we're gonna be talking about, first of all, the first point of the agenda is 1 minute silence to honor and respect our ancestors. And then after the 1 minute silence, I will ask, obviously, the elder in this meeting is our Majesty Queen Aluko from Zimbabwe to just give us a word of introduction after the 1 minute silence. Then the second point of our agenda, it will be about the introduction of the founder. So the founder will introduce himself. He will explain a little bit about himself. Then the third point of our agenda, it will enlighten us all the aims of the organization. And then the fourth point will be about questions and answers. If anybody have any questions, any answer, any questions, so it will be more enlighten all of us. Basically, that's the summarize, and then the last will be a conclusion. If anybody wants to conclude, say any words or any suggestion about the meeting or about what they heard, you are free, entirely free to express your views. Uh, so we're going to be start off with a first of all introduction. I will begin. You already know. My name is Alpha Quabo. I was born in Angola, but we represent the Kingdom of Congo because Angola obviously is mainly a Portuguese name, but we represent the Kingdom of Congo. I'm ambassador of our great queen, uh, Nzinga Mbandi, from the Ndongo and the Matamba. This is a kingdom inside the Kingdom of Congo. And then we still represent our great queen, Nzinga. I'm currently work with different organizations that aim to promote our African culture, to promote, uplift, and educate our brothers and sisters, whether in the continent or in diaspora. I'm also connect with the different media outlets such as radios, TV stations around the world. And the main focus is to promote our cultures, our value, not only in the continent, but also in diaspora. That's basically my introduction. I'm currently based in the UK, and then I also support a lot of our queens and kings that in this mission to uplift our brothers and sisters. That's me. I will pass on to our brother in Brazil. The floor is yours. Brother Ojemi, the floor is yours. The mic is off. Can you hear me, brother Ojemi? So we will pass the mic. I think the best thing, just so everybody, to leave the mic on, because sometimes when you are speaking.
Oh, my God. My mic was not on. I'm so sorry. Good morning, everybody.
I'll just request everybody to be on the quiet place and then leave the mic on if unless if it's really necessary to have the mic off.
Okay.
The floor is yours, Brother OJ.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry. Um, First of all, hold on, please. First of all, I say thank you to the organizers. Fantastic ARK project, and also my brother here, Alpha Kwabo. Thank you so much for inviting me to this meeting. I am the managing partner to the Africa. Hello.
Yes, we can
you
hear
hear me?
you.
Yes. Turn on your video.
And if possible, we will request everybody to turn up the video, unless if it's something they're doing something that can't be seen. But it'll be great for everybody to have the video on.
Okay.
Yes, the floor is yours, Brother Ojemi.
Okay, fantastic. So, like I said, my name is Ajoyemi Oshule. I live here in Brazil, Rio de Janeiro. I'm the managing partner to the African Pride Company in Brazil, and I'm also the ambassador to His Imperial Majesty on Ile-Ife here in Brazil, and I'm also the representative and so the advisor to the African Union ECOSOC Nigeria chapter, and also UNESCO. The ARK, the moment I heard, I was informed about this project and this movement, I got very impressed because I believe it's going to add more to what we are talking about in terms of connecting and promoting the African heritage. Here in Brazil, as African Pride, what we do is we celebrate, connect, unite with anybody, anything, any institution, any project that celebrates Africa. As much as we celebrate Africa, so that is what the African Pride is all about. So from Brazil here, what we're trying to do as a nation is we're trying to connect Brazilians to Africa, because they've not been able to be connected for the past 500 years. We want to give them an African identity. So here in Brazil, I'm presently in Brasilia, the capital. We have so many projects and so many events. We are having about 38 African countries that we've connected with. Were with them yesterday, 2 days ago, and so many more. So anything that connects Brazil to Africa, that makes the Afro-Brazilians locate their ancestral roots, that is what we do. In all ramifications, spiritually, educationally, economically, that is what we do. So I'm very happy to be here, and I'm praying that as we move, we'll be able to add our own quota and contribute to this project to the ARK. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, brother. So we will pass on quickly to our great sister from Mozambique, based in the UK, Sister Louisa. The floor is yours. Sister Louisa? Sister Louisa?
Yes, sorry. I'm trying to put my camera on, but even the kids, they're here trying to help me, but it's not working. Sorry about that. I would like you guys to see my face, but I don't know, unfortunately. My son is trying, when I'm talking, he's trying to see if he can check what is going on with the camera. It's not letting me. But anyway, good afternoon, all. My name is Maria Luisa Moreno. I live in the UK, 17 years now. I've done my studies on community and social care policies and practices. So I do a lot of voluntary work in the community. I love working in the community. I've been working with the brother Alpha, I think now we're more than 10 years. We've been working together. So I do represent also Mozambican community in the UK. in Manchester area. I'm a community activist. I'm happy to help any community in need. So this is what I do. I live in the UK, as I think I said, 17 years now. I've got 5 kids. So I've been doing a lot of community with the Brother Alpha and the Mozambique, UK. We do Angola as well. We're open to do any country if people requires us. We are free to help anyone. So yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure for me to be in this group. Thank you so much for the invitation. So thank you.
No problem. So we pass on real quick to our great Dr. Remy Alapo. The floor is yours. Again, we still have the issue with the mic. So preferably, we'll request everybody to have the mic on. So yes, Dr. Remy.
Good morning from New York, everyone. Peace and blessings to you. It's an honor to be here this morning. And, I want to show my gratitude to the African Views Organization for this warm invitation. I don't think I've met any of you yet, but I look forward to working with you. I've been working with Dr. Wale for maybe over 10 years or so now. Way before I became part of the African Views Organization. But currently I'm the director of programs with the African Views Organization. And, call on me anytime. And I look forward to working closely with everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear sister. So we're gonna be, before we pass the mic to our great majesty, and then obviously Dr. Wale will be introduce himself on the second topic of our agenda. I think what we're going to be doing is now we're going to be having 1 minute silence to pay and respect of all of our ancestors, and then we're going to be passing on the mic to our beloved Queen Amelia Aluko to share some few words about the fight of our ancestors. Just a quick word to open up the dialogue. Then we jump on to the second topic, which is we're going to be giving the floor to our great Dr. Wale to be able to then start off the second topic. So
Brother
right
Alpha,
now, yes?
I think we might be omitting Fred.
Oh, so we got to, oh, yeah, he's on now. So, because I didn't see him on my screen, that's why. Thank you for reminding. So now we're going to be passing on the mic to Brother Fred to quick introduce himself as well. The floor is yours, Brother Fred. Brother Fred? Brother Fred, again, we're having issue with the mics. So that's why we recommend everybody that is taking part of this meeting to have the mic on at all times. And then just stay on the quiet place. Or unless if it's necessary, if it's urgent, that is to keep the mic off. So, Brother Fred, are you there? Brother Fred is not responding. So I think the administrator can unlock his mic. No.
I've asked him to unmute, and that's all.
All right, yeah, I think I did now.
Okay.
Yes.
Please, please, please. I recommend
Yeah,
everybody to stay with the mic on unless it is urgent.
Yeah, my
Stay
mic
with
is
the,
on.
okay, now it's on. So the floor is yours, Brother Fred.
My name is Fred Aden again, and it's really a great pleasure to be asked So actually to join this meeting because as a Black person, there are a lot of learning to be done, and it's really a great pleasure to be among the people that are actually putting that forward. And it was really a great pleasure to meet Mr. Wally, Dr. Wally, because it was just by, it has to be a sheer coincidence, but when things are ordained, then they do happen. So it's really a pleasure to be here to listen to what has gone thus far, and just hopefully wanting to bring a contribution if I need to.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
welcome.
And
Thank you
then
for actually accepting me.
just tell us
Huh?
really quick what you do.
What do I do?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I live in Guyana. I live in Guyana now. But prior to that, I was living in the US. And then it was meeting my wife in the US that actually brought about me coming to Guyana. So what I do here right now is real estate. But prior to coming here in the US, I was working for Verizon.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Very
So
well.
so then we're still missing the brother from Mozambique, but I think he's going to be on shortly. Now we're going to be doing 1 minute silence to honor all of our all of our ancestors. So 1 minute silence start now. Thank you so much. It was always great to remember those who came before us. So when we're having this meeting, we definitely have to pay homage and respect all of our great ancestors that gave blood, sweat, and tear for us to be here. We're talking about Queen Nzinga. We're talking about Malcolm X. We're talking about all of our great Harriet Tubman. We're talking about Malcolm X. We're talking about Martin Luther King. We're talking about Patrice Lumumba. We're talking about Robert Mugabe. We're talking about Steve Biko. We're talking about Shaka Zulu. We're talking about Winnie Mandela, Nelson Mandela. We're talking about Khalid Muhammad. We're talking about Frederick Douglass. We're talking about John Pombe Magufuli. We're talking about Colonel Gaddafi. We're talking about Marcus Garvey. We're talking about uh, El Selassie. We're talking about all of our great ancestors that paved the way for us to be here. That's why it's such an honor. We're talking about Zumbidos Palmares. We're talking about absolutely all of us because we're the new version of all of our ancestors that is here physically to make things right. Such a pleasure to be here. Then we're going to be opening the floor, giving the mic to our great queen, Amelia Aluko, just to introduce herself and just share some word with us. The floor is yours, Majesty.
Bayete, Bayete, greetings to the children of Mother of the Earth, Mama Africa. I'm honored and grateful to be here. I want to thank the organizers. I want to thank my Prince Alpha Kouabo for bringing me to the light of this day. My name is Mambokazi Queen Aluko. I was born in Zimbabwe, between Zimbabwe and Mozambique. And my parents are from the four corners of Africa. So I never really I don't want to choose to be this Zimbabwean, South African, but I am an African.
Wow. So
I am an African. So I live in between Zimbabwe, Malawi, Northern Ireland, and Dublin. I'm an activist. I've been an activist for over 4 decades, advocating for Black people all around in the UK and in Ireland. And the first Black woman, I can say, to establish an African organization in Ireland, the first Black woman to fight for racism in Ireland. And I'm also an entrepreneur, but most of my work is to work with my community, advocating for them. It could be either immigration or people that want to go back home to Africa, people who, and housing. I mean, everything to do with a human being is welfare. I am there. So that's maybe much I can say about myself.
thank you so much, Majesty. So now that introduction is done, we're going to be given the floor. We're going to be jumping now to the second topic of our agenda, which is to hear the founder of this great organization that is focused and unite us all African people around the world. So we will give the floor to our great doctor, Chief Wale. The floor is yours.
Thank you so very much. And good afternoon to you in the great England. And it's still morning here in the Americas. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to participate in this very important discussion. This is a great opportunity for us to communicate what we have been doing, not only us, but also many of you in your own silos, but see how we can connect the dots and put our strength together, work in synergy towards achieving the goal that is so critical to our development. So I really thank you for taking the time. My name is Dr. Wale Idris Ajibade. I'm an economist and also the founder of African Views Organization. There's not much to tell about myself. I was born in Lagos, Nigeria, as a Yoruba, to a Yoruba family. I spent my childhood days in Nigeria, but quickly shipped away to Austria, where I studied and pretty much spent my youth life and youth days, and then came to America to complete my studies. I've been in America for almost 30 years now. Prior to that, about 15 years in Europe and Austria. So I've been away from Africa for a long time. However, my heart has never left Africa, even though I was very young when I was in Africa. Just like many of us here, we think about what happens on the continent. And we see it even more so in the diaspora than we see it on the ground, because when we're on the ground, we are inside of it and we're twirling with all the challenges. So it's hard for us to have a bird's eye view. This is why many of us here in diaspora, when we look back, we can see opportunities and challenges. We can differentiate, we can sieve out the challenges and so on and so forth. So this is what had happened, and it has changed my life when I traveled to Brazil working here in America with corporate America and, living the life that you expect a diasporan to live in America with all these dreams and perks. But when I went to Brazil and I met someone, a Brazilian of African descent, who spoke Yoruba as it was spoken 500 years ago. And when I met the Maroons of Brazil, I saw their culture, so similar to the Yoruba with the mixtures of the Angolans. This was fresh to me. And what happened then was, at this time, I was, of course, working for the Chinese and the Koreans and making tons of money for investors around the world. But it dawned on my conscience that there's so much more we could do for Africa. And I had to begin to look for where the true value of African people lies. A lot of us are distracted because of all the minerals and precious stones and all kinds of extractives that has made all the colonialists beat up on us, enslaved us, and all kinds of things over the years. And I wonder if that's exactly where the value is. But in my analysis, I realized that we're looking in the wrong places because the true value lies in our diversity. And so when I saw those things, I just looked at the spectrum of the wealth of African people around the world with all the beautiful, beautiful diversity that we have, and how disconnected and dissipated, how disconnected we are and how dissipated our strengths are. And I wonder if by any chance that we're able to reconnect that. So obviously, the concept here is that we are dissipated by design. So all of these were something that happened to us over the time, and again, it is by design. So our effort started looking at all the true values that African people have in different countries, and that began with all that technical analysis, which has been my strength from the onset. So that's how we started, and that's how African Views was formed, based on this economic perspective of who the Africans are, what their strengths are, and what their challenges are, as well as the opportunities. And if you begin to look at all of these scenarios, all you see is just opportunities that are latent, opportunities that are untapped, opportunities that are unused. So the question is, how do we begin to use, do we begin to utilize this? How do we, first of all, we have to communicate it. We have to make each other understand it. And this is a great challenge, as many of you know, because people are very, very distracted. We are also distracted in so many ways that many of our systems are being run because of the path created by the hegemonies, which really only leads to the benefit of the hegemonies. And again, it's a great challenge to create new path, but that's exactly what African Views had started to do. So I would be very happy to introduce you to all of this once our brother Kwabo permits me to do so, but that's really just the background introduction of myself. Thank you.
So now moving to the topic 3. So it's about the aims of the organization and why are we here today. That's why we've connected with our brothers and sisters, Our Majesty, in order to hear the founder, the objective, and then what can we do to support this great vision? Because African Views that's what we all have. That's what we've been doing already. Now, having the Dr. Wally to reach out to us, it's really of us understanding the aims and what can we do to support. That's why we want to hear on the topic 3. After the topic 3, then we're going to be opening up the question or the suggestions. And then we're going to have the conclusion. Be mindful this meeting will last for 2 hours. So we're 20 minutes away to reach an hour. So when we reach to the 2 hours, the meeting will be over. So now we jump on to the topic 3, which is Dr. Wilder will explain the aims and what he expects from us. And then also, when we open up the question and answers, what can we contribute in as well? So the floor is yours, Dr. Wilder.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to introduce African views from its definition to its philosophy behind it. Then I'm going to do a quick presentation based on the Alliance of the ARK, which is of interest to many people here and really the purpose of why we're here. But I needed to provide you more analysis and definitions of African views. So African views is simply an alliance of global African intelligence. That's what it is. For us to present what an African views, or what African, first of all, there is no one African view, there is only African views. This is what we realized after painstaking research, obviously, but we had to be sure. So it's a foundation of African views. And this is about the insight into the collective conscience, awareness, and conscientiousness of the presence and the diversity of African values worldwide. Okay, so that's really the beginning. We're looking at the visions, the voices, the wisdom, the ideas, the intelligences, and all kinds of human developmental capacity, acumen that exist in every possible African silo. It's fascinating how disconnected African people are, and that is only main problem. And we realize that when we have a problem, we have to define it. And it's very important how we define it, because that's really what's going to determine the appropriate solution. For what we realize is that we have often misdiagnosed the challenges of people of African descent. We'll get to that. But let's begin by the whole philosophy behind this concept. So if you look at the combination of African views of the universe, which has been carefully studied and systematized, okay, to a degree, but much of it still remains to be fully documented. And many of these views are expressed, of course, in myth, in legends, and proverbs, and wise saying, and practical ways, rituals, maybe even dances, maybe symbols. Apropos dances, if you ever seen the Ghanaian dances, it's one of the most fascinating dances in Africa. And I'll tell you why. You know, I've seen a lot of moves, and it's great. I'm not talking about the fancy things that kids are doing now. It's about the traditional dances. The dances of the Ashanti, the Ewe in Ghana, is about telling a story, and you have to pay attention when you see that. There's so much power and philosophy and messages in the dancing. A person can dance and communicate a whole story, a whole intention, a whole discontentment. Everything can be in that dance, and they understood it. That's fascinating. You know, so a lot of things out there like are so symbolic to us. When we put all of this together, a tapestry of an African cosmology emerges, isn't it? So we see this beauty of our cultural diversity, and we have not completely paid attention to this opportunity. Some people are exploiting it, whether from internal or from foreign affairs or foreign interventions. And it's disturbing to see all of that. Yet the underlying unity or similarity of views and traits and traditions, inclinations and behavior across the diaspora reflects all these local variations that, when put together, the tapestry becomes complete. This is what's so fascinating about the beauty of African people. We are only beautiful together. This is, I want you to imagine, of course, we're beautiful individually, nonetheless, but we are most beautiful together. We are, so well, individually we can compete and they can compete with us, whatever. But when we come together, you yourself will see the power of that presentation because the tapestry is complete. So we have been making all this painstaking effort to really bring us together. And it is in this spirit that we have chosen to come together and endeavor to capture, without any exception, that none of us is expendable. None of us, whether you are the strongest or the weakest, or you can't walk or you can't run, or you can't see, whatever the case may be, whether you're a Muslim or a Christian or a spiritualist, whether you're a politician and a corrupt person or a prisoner or a killer, none of us is expendable. This is how critical this is. And when you begin to look at this, you see the importance of order. Now, of course, we have had a systematized government for the past 50 to 60 years in Africa. And little progress has emerged from that. Kwame Nkrumah tried so hard to make the arguments for the unification of Africa. And through the governments, but no government of a country that has just ascended, Africans are getting taste of power at that time, and none of them was willing to relinquish the power that they have just been, that they've just ascended. None of them, you know. So Nkrumah's debate with Nyerere put Nkrumah, sidelined Nkrumah. Really, Nyerere won that battle saying, let's wait, that unification is not possible now, we're just getting a taste of this power, let's enjoy it a little bit. And before we realized it, we came too late, because as you see, power, once we tasted power, it has become impossible to bring any rationality to unity. We see our people fighting right now in Sudan for power. We see how difficult it is to exchange power. We see how democracy fails. We see all these challenges. We see all these confusions on the ground. Now, within all this, we make effort to listen to some of our elders who says, you know, when all things look bleak, it is culture which is the recourse to sanity. So when we are lost, we turn to our natural compass. And it is on this premise that we have formed the African Views Organization. So we've maintained our inclusive positions, and we've done some tremendous work. And we've done this work through the support of so many academics around the world, so many traditional rulers around the world, especially in Africa. And I will be very happy now to share my screen and give you a quick run through of what the ARK is. I'll share my screen. Okay. I hope you can all see my screen.
Yes.
Thank you. So what we have here is the ARK. The ARK is the Alliance of African Royal Kingdoms. Okay, we created these symbols as a pledge of all the traditional rulers. We have had so many forums since several years, now 7 actually, 7 officially. We created something called the Spirit of Peace and Prosperity, which is a conference of African traditional rulers, meeting with different people and different leaders around the world. The whole idea is to promote cultural harmony, cultural sustainability, and partnership for the goal. The ARK itself, the Alliance of the ARK, has also led to the establishment of the Royal Institute of Global African Cultures and Traditions, which we call the Royal African Institute for short. Okay? I'm going to make this quick so that you can, just to formulate questions in case you want to ask me. So the ARK itself is an intergovernmental organization that brings, it's an umbrella organization for all the African royal kingdoms. This becomes incredibly important, especially because if we're looking for something that's authentic as African views, then we need to dig deeper into areas where the hegemonies have not influenced, that has become a diluted perspective. When we dig for authentic African views, then we had to reach out to traditional kingdoms because they are the custodians of culture. This is the pure lines. And this is one of the deviations between civic governance and traditional government. Okay. We also realize that the traditional government has been completely sidelined. They have people asking questions, are they still relevant? People are wondering what their purpose is. A lot of people don't know what the relationship with governments and what relationships are with the people. What we found out is that the relationship with the people have remained very strong and very salient. As a matter of fact, people trust the traditional rulers much more than they trust the civic government. And because of this, we realize that the traditional rulers have better access to grassroots level, and majority of the African people are grassroots people. So if we are going to really begin to develop and advance, these are the people that we need to lift up. So the whole concept of African development has to start from the grassroots. And we have been failing because we're starting from the top down, you know, which is a Republican method. But when we begin from the platform, from the grassroots level, then we can lift the society up. It's heavy lifting, but that is the way that we have analyzed to be the best. And this is really the reason why you've been invited here to see the power of what we can do. So if you can imagine, they created the African Organization of African Union, Organization of African Unity, you know, in the 60s, and then it changed to African Union, I guess, in the 80s. Still on the same track, right? It changed really from OAU to AU based on one particular notion that most of the African leaders are military, they are dictators, so to speak. So they don't want it to be an organization of dictators. This is one of the principles they use to change this. But now we are returning back to that. I wonder if they're going to change it again or how they're going to manage it this time. But again, those are things that are very important that they must do, and we support them wholeheartedly. However, the institution of the Royal Kingdom is incredibly, incredibly important. Incredibly important. And so the idea is to have this umbrella organization, just like you have the African Union, have the kingdom as well. And we know that in one country alone, there are so many traditional rulers of equal status. And what we are presenting is an opportunity that brings everybody to the table on equal terms for the purpose of the people. And also with this opportunity, we can look beyond just Africa and connect also the diaspora in areas where they've been able to maintain African traditions and keep the kingdom system going, the traditional system going. We have them in the United States. We have them, whether new or old, we have them pretty much everywhere. And we want to be able to make them inclusive and create a new possibility for cohesion and coherence so that we can understand the plight of our people properly and make measures of healing wherever necessary, make reparations, make restitutions across the board. More importantly, the most important reason for this is that with the help of these traditional rulers, we can stop problems before it even starts. And we can make sure that targeted structural programs can reach the people that most need it. So it becomes very, very important to work with traditional rulers. And our traditional rulers, as you know, there are many of our elders have really supported this process of working with traditional rulers. Of course, Nelson Mandela did, as you know, when he formed the Council of Elders. This is Chief, this is His Royal Majesty, King Adedapo Aderemi, who is the convener of the Council of Traditional Leaders of Africa, which is a mandate of the United Nations to work on the elimination of harmful practices against women. But he is on our board as the chair of the Elders Committee, the Elders of the Trusteeship Council. And he met with Kenneth Kaunda to convey this program to him, and he got his blessings. Kenneth Kaunda was like, we should have started on this trend. And as you know, Kenneth Kaunda was the last of the Mohicans, as we call him, the last of the elders. So here was our meeting when we went to Ghana to begin to propose for this Royal African Institute to be established in Ghana. We have tried to establish it in Zimbabwe through the help of one of our colleagues and brothers there, Pan-Africanist, named, I think, Kanisao, and a librarian at a university in Zimbabwe many years ago. And then we got 2 plots of land from one of the highest kings in Benin, King Udegbe, who's also a dean of the university. Give us 2 plots of land to establish the institute there in Benin. And then in Ghana, Ghana was Nana Otulate, who during the conference of the Spirit of Peace and Prosperity, was one of the kings that came to attend the meeting. And he suggested that we bring this to Ghana, and he has made available over 700 acres of land for this project. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. So this was our presentation to Ni Kinka, who just passed away. This is, that happened. But this was a great loss to us because this was a man who really loved and advocated for us. Okay, we are also at the desk of the Ochumfo, and of course, we are also at the desk of the Oni of Ife and many traditional leaders across Africa, because what we've been doing is having meetings with many of the traditional leaders and presenting the same case to them why they must come together. So, of course, we will work with government, but also we will work with royal kingdoms, as a matter of fact, primarily. Okay, but we also partner with universities for many reasons. With the university, we partner with not only the School of Humanities, where we have the archaeology, Department of Archaeology, etc., African Studies, and so on and so forth. We work with each and every one of them on many levels. First, for programmatics, to extend the classroom to the institute, to facilitate presentations from kings, so that kings can actually give pure narrative, so we can build a stronger African studies compared to what has been diluted across the academia today. So these are the things that we are working on doing, and also developing the branch, the faculty of African philosophy and African doctrines. It's very, very important for knowledge production, healing, and path to peace and prosperity for our people everywhere. Okay, so the institute, because so as we created a treaty that's been extended to many of the traditional rulers. Maybe during Q&A, I can explain how we work with traditional rulers and who's already on board. But the idea is that we have a treaty that we extend to each traditional ruler to involve their kingdoms in the ARK. And we are building a secretariat in Ghana on this land. And this is the design of that, and all of the things that will come into it. We have executive and administrative offices, of course, conference rooms, etc. But also museums, and museums that is only designated to royal dynasties, only to the history of kingdoms, not to the history of countries, only to the history of kingdoms. This is very important for us, and we want to have a perspective, an original perspective of just kingdom perspectives of Africa, not of nation perspectives. As you can see, many of these kingdoms or many of these ethnic groups cuts across different nations. We are going to omit those barriers and those drawings of hegemonic borders. We're going to focus only on kingdoms. Okay, so that's the museum, as well as a library. Library will be research. There's going to be lecture halls, auditoriums, all of those things. We'll also have amenities like hospitality, hospitals, theaters, all kinds of things that are there. These are the operational structures of this tells what the functional chart is, who's doing what department will do, whatever the case may be. We have the African Heritage Department, we have the Commission, we have the Assembly. The Assembly is all of them together. We have the Economic and Cultural Council, we have the Economic and Financial Institutions, we have the Peace and Security Council. The Peace and Security Council is very critical because oftentimes the people know before a particular unrest breaks out. And before it gets to that stage, we believe that the combination of the voice of the traditional rulers can help mitigate the situation and bring some peace and rationality. A lot of people are wondering, what is the meaning of Africa? Africa simply means a land of peace and warmth. And we've almost lost that completely. It's about time to revive it. And I think with this structure, we're able to revive it. Okay, I know that this is not going to be easy, because people are not just going to be looking at us. We have oppositions across the aisle, oppositions that are very pretentious, positions that will come to us in angelic faces, but have a poison portion in their back. So we know they're scorpions, but this opportunity must not elude us, and we must be forthright, brilliant in seeing it through. Okay, so if you look at all, these are some of the amenities that I just mentioned that are going to be in the institute. And as we continue to design this institute, because the institute, the portion of the land is actually between Accra and Kumasi. So it's about 2 hours away from both sides, perfectly situated. And because it's a virgin land, we have a clean slate to design it. And we brought together some of the best architects in the world who pledged their support. So we have international architects and we have local architects. The local architects are doing the facade and the structural designs, and the international architects are doing the infrastructural designs. And so we have a global combination. We have from the United States, from Spain, from Portugal, from Indonesia, from China, from Germany, people coming together to support this. So we're very happy about that. This is how the Institute will work. If you look at, I don't know if you can see, let me go back a little bit just to show you this. All right, so on the right-hand side, where you see the spirit of peace and prosperity, if you go down just a little bit, you'll see that you see peace, justice, and strong institutions. And what you'll see under the Ghana flag is two demarcations. One is the private sector and the other is the nonprofit sector. That's how the institute is divided. The side of the for the private sector for the institute will do the Royal Institute, will do the Research Institute and the Heritage Museum, STEAM Museum, etc. More importantly, Science Center for Children. The Science Center for Children is so critical, so important. We have almost none of it in Africa. It's shameful, but let's not go there. It's just that we're distracted. But those are the things that are very important. We need to invest more in the children. I know we're doing it in some private settings, but we need it to. This has to be a commonplace and ubiquitous everywhere. So this is the idea and the example that we said, and I want to make this successful and make it exemplary. So the Heritage Library, the scientific, integrated traditional and scientific medical clinics, etc. All of those things on the private sector. And on the nonprofit sector, we have that which will interface with diplomatic missions, the African Union, the United Nations, etc. These are the departments. Okay. So this is just another spectrum of what has just been explained in just different visual formats of how we're going to have the private sector sections, section for governmental affairs, etc. So what is good here is that when you have a formed system with an integrated alliance of royal kingdoms, then the kings can really present the plight of the people with a stronger authoritative voice, not only as one, but as a complete unit of the entire society of African people. This has never been heard, because each time the African government speak, even if it's coming from the African Union, none of the countries believe it. Nobody believes it. Nobody takes it seriously. Even the trade agreement is taking forever to happen because nobody cares and believes it. Go through the border with your goods today, you still have problems. There's no African passport that's been promised. So they don't listen. And if an African government speaks, they're not speaking for Africa, they're only speaking for their own country. But with this, we have something that is remarkable, something the world has been waiting for, because that is the true us. This is the voice that they've been waiting for. When many of these countries speak as it is today for the government, they echo in some hegemonic sentiments or against it, or whatever the case may be. It's all distractions. But we have more. We have more. So anyway, this again is another diagram of that spectrum. This is the whole concept of the land mass and how it's going to be done. This is, of course, we have architects that are working on sustainability. We call it the institute, the Royal Institute, has turned into a smart city, because we realize that, okay, if we're going to put such a structure in a remote place, how do we want, and we want people attendance and people attention there. We have to be able to keep them and make them comfortable. So of course, there's going to be hotels, and there's going to be this, and there's going to be that, and we want to make sure it's it's smart in the sense that its energy sources are sustainable, water resources are sustainable, food, etc. And then it turned really into a smart city because then we started to add residential area, which is going to be real estate projects, as well as corporate offices for that. So this is why it has become a smart city. So it becomes a very important investment portfolio, which is what we are doing right now. Again, this shows you all the complements. Okay, and then we begin to drill into the importance of smart city. This is the idea of the park, the water park that is being proposed, which is a heritage park. You can imagine each of these section marked with a traditional heritage of a particular African, to honor an African ancestral heritage or within the traditional kingdoms. So we also have plans for raising capital, which is part of what I just explained. This is an economic portfolio that we want everybody to be able to participate, the structural plans in it, especially this is the timeline and the phases that are necessary. Because of the COVID, we had to defer, so some of these numbers and dates have to be revised, but we are working forward. The architects are drawing as we're speaking, and the whole idea of investors and investment is made possible. We want to make sure that this is something Africans can support. We believe that the capacity to generate revenue is immense with such a structure and such a concept, and having the Secretariat Office of the traditional rulers there, and this city really would represent the capital city of the royal kingdoms, but we want to make sure that it is socialistic in the sense that it's inclusive. It's not just available to people who have means. This is what it actually looks like on the ground, and you can see the distance from the road. This is the road. You can see just beneath there the road that leads from Accra to Kumasi along that path. So what is the Secretariat going to be doing? It's very simple. The Secretariat is going to be doing exactly what the African Union wants, the African Union wants to do with Agenda 2063 and so on and so forth. However, it's going to be doing with the role of cultures in mind, okay, and making sure that it gets to the grassroots, not just the fancy people who deal at the top level. Okay, so this agenda has many perspectives, and it's all considered this is an African views format for this. And we merge both the 2063 agenda with the Agenda 2030 to make sure that it really addresses the needs on the ground. Okay, and we include tourism in all of these concepts. Obviously, that's something that's going to attract a bunch of people. Again, the economic benefit of the African Institute, the Royal Institute, is very clear. We have added, we are launching the African Royal Chamber of Commerce, which is going to be very revolutionary. This is what the land looks like. This is Nana Otulate, and this is one of the lead architects, who is Gregory Keys. Gregory Keys is the son of Zoltan Keys, who is the inventor of the plasma TV. And Gregory is there because he's one of the most recognized sustainable development architect in the United States, because he was one of the first, actually the known first, to start using windows as photovoltaic. If you know, using, instead of having solar panels everywhere, your windows are the solar panels. This is remarkable feat. So this is my presentation to you. I will await all kinds of questions. You can see why it is important to have every hand on board. I thank you so much for your patience.
Thank you, Dr. Wiley, for this amazing illustration. It's really about, obviously, the pictures, the diagram, everything they put together is completely make us visualize the whole vision about the organization. We're going to be opening up. We have more brothers and sisters that join in into this meeting. We would like if anybody join in now, just to quick introduce himself before we open up the question and answer.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Prince Ayotunde Adebayo of the Pan-African Back to the Roots. Sorry, I just woke up. I traveled yesterday and I came back home late. I'm aware of this meeting, but I just joined in because I remember there's a meeting this morning. So thank you.
Which country are you calling from?
I'm here in United States. I'm in Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay, thank you so much. Then we have another brother that joined in as well, real quick. Your name and what you do and where you calling from. Yes. Your name, brother, and then just a quick background of what you do.
Yes, maybe you're talking about me. I'm Dr. Byron Price. I'm the president of African Views USA. And so I'm in New York City, but right now I'm in Houston, Texas now. So.
All right, thank you. Brother Fred, you already joining? Yes.
Yes.
What else? What else? I think we have everybody now. Yeah. So no, Adrian Cameron, is that Brother Adrian Cameron?
Hi, good morning or afternoon, wherever each person is. I'm Adrian Cameron. I am part of African Views as well. I'm more the tech individual. So yeah, and I'm calling from New Jersey in America.
Right. Thank you. Again, it's such a pleasure to have everybody here, including Her Majesty Queen Luca from Zimbabwe, our sister from Mozambique, and all of our brothers and sisters, Brother OGM in Brazil. Now we're going to be having a 20 minutes a question and answer. If anybody want to ask any question to the founder, just raise your hand into one of the emoji, and then so we'll give the mic to you to ask any question. I will begin by asking Dr. Wale, what can we do to support this great vision that you just explained to us? We're all here. Obviously, we invite some of our sisters, Our Majesty. What can we do to support this great vision? Question to Dr. Wale.
Oh, I'm sorry. What would I do? Or
no, what can we do? What can we do to support?
Oh, what can we do?
Yeah, what can we do? Us as obviously we are coming in to know this amazing work. So what can we do to support?
Oh, thank you. First of all, I think you have already taken the first very necessary step to be here today and to even ask this question. I'm very grateful. It's heavy lifting, and it's not what any one of us can do by themselves. You know, a tree will not make a forest, no matter how large it is. But every one of us here is a very large tree, and together we'll make such a thick forest. So the idea is for us to lift this together in every way with all our expertise, and we have different expertise. I don't know what expertise many of us have, but I know we have different expertise. And even if we have similar expertise, that means that we can share chores. So there are many things that this needs to do. The sustainability of the effort is very, very critical. And also the help towards making the effort right. There's so much more. You can imagine the way we work with traditional rulers is that each country in Africa has some kind of traditional council. It's not always kumbaya within the council for many reasons. So this is what we have discovered. But we can be ambassadors in our own right in working as, even with our own organization, working together for the purpose of the ARK. This is very, very critical. Yes, the ARK may be an African Views project, and we're very proud of this initiative. That's not going to change. But each of us, in our own silo, in our own organization, with our own principles and belief, can work towards it if we see the importance of this vision. And we can do it, of course, in partnership with African Views. One of the challenges that we have as Africans, and I need to mention that quickly, is that many of our people, when they see this type of ideas, they want to run with it. And that brings dilutions. They don't have the overview. They don't have the foundation and the fundamentals. And oftentimes they run into walls and they mess it up. We see that even in this work today. We see that. We know people who have quickly, once this was pronounced, they went and they registered the website. We know those who have done that. We know those who have made up, and they have loud megaphones. They've made announcements. Oh, we've drawn this in Africa. Oh, let's go. We're going to do a Wakanda. We've seen all of those things. And it's unfortunate. We have to try to avoid this, because when we're all talking about
I just want anybody that has the music on the background or a sound to mute to cut the sound off. Thank you. Yes, Dr. Wally.
Thank you very much. So yeah, so we have all those challenges, and it's very important for us to be mindful of them, because we shoot ourselves in the foot with all these type of attitudes. It's what got us in problem in the first place. And many of us still raise our fist and say, yeah, while we are doing wrong to authenticity and the cause itself. So we have to be mindful of that. That's why it's important for us to keep an alliance pure and focused, and work together in such a respectable way in making this possible. Because those who we're trying to bring to the table will look through us and see what the foundation is about. And if you look at anything about African Views, you'll see that we have integrity. This is very important for us. So it is because of our integrity that I feel comfortable coming to you and asking you to support us in every way that you possibly can. You know your strength. You know what you can. As we're speaking right now, you're already thinking of what you could do. Okay, so we're going to be in Suriname. There's work to be done there. We're going to be in Guyana. There's work to be done there. Even if you can't be with us in Guyana, there are many ways that you could even support the process in Guyana. So we need your voice. We need your intelligence. We need your resources. Yes, Dr. Mel, I was going to mention you.
As you were talking, I had a question, because I think that's a very good point that you're making. When other people come in and try to hijack what's going on, how then do we mitigate that in terms of legitimizing and formalizing people being a part of this project in a sense that it legitimizes what we're doing in comparison to what other people, rogue organizations may do that try to pick up on what you have going on. So I think the legitimization of it in a formal way and how we will formalize these alliances that you're speaking of, and I'm just speaking from a logistical point of view, what kind of agreements would it be? What contracts, if you will, the legal aspects of it, what would be signed? I mean, how are we going to formalize this? I'm trying to envision the formalization of it. If you can expound on that, that would be great and helpful.
And then before we pass the mic to Dr. Wally, just a quick introduction about yourself, sis. Because you didn't came early in the meeting. Everybody introduced themselves. A quick introduction about yourself and what you do, and then what you call where you calling from exactly.
Okay, I'm actually calling from Houston, Texas. I'm in the United States. I'm a part of the African Views organization with respect to the United States. Dr. Byron Price brought me on. My background is public health and social work, which is what my doctorate is in, and I am a university professor and administrator.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now we're passing the mic again to Dr. Wally.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mel. Great to hear you. So, you know, what we have done is that we have signed agreement with councils of traditional rulers. We signed it with PACTCA, which is the Pan-African Council of Traditional and Customary Authorities. And then we have a standing relationship with COTLA, which is a Council of Traditional Rulers, Traditional Leaders of Africa. And we have also a partnership with South African Council of Traditional Rulers. So the idea obviously is to make sure that we continue to have this type of relationship with traditional rulers. We have an ongoing one with the Yoruba traditional rulers. We have the Nigerian traditional rulers. We have the Ghanaian Council of Elders. So some of these are formalized. Some of these are just in comprehension. But you're right, we need to farm it. And the reason that this is ongoing is not so much our fault, but really the organization of the Council of Elders themselves need to be so prepared. We have a standing treaty which we give to the kingdoms. The treaty is a treaty that's written for them to analyze and for them to review and edit. It's really a contract between themselves and other kingdoms to be part of the ARK.
So is there, so logistically speaking, not to cut you off, so
no,
there's a meeting point, annual meeting, when does everyone, I guess, kind of sit down at the table or have a representative at the table where the formal discussions are taking place, or is it just kind of paperwork at this point going back and forth? And these may be off the wall questions, but I'm just trying to get a general understanding of logistically the legwork involved and what is going on to cohesively keep the sustainability that you're speaking of and to keep it moving forward. Has something formally been decided in terms of an annual meeting, you know, who the members are? I'm just trying to get a sense of logistically what that looks like.
Exactly, and perfect questions. And it helps me as well to make all of this correct, and I can give you the right information. So the theoretical part, even with the treaty, is one side. Don't forget, we're also actually building. Right now, we are at the drawing stage. The land is available. And this requires a lot of negotiations with traditional rulers and so on and so forth. And, you know, we've been working on this for 4 years now. And as we speak, you know, I have some drawings. I actually thought that was part of the presentation, but I have some drawings that the architects have produced. But the drawings that's been produced so far is infrastructural. So they are actually working on the actual design of the institute and the whole city. So once this design is completed, and I wish that I've invited the architects to speak on that as well. But once that has been committed, or that's been completed, the idea is for us to design an economic infrastructure, economic system for that, right? That includes investments, shares, etc. We are going to determine all of that, how much the share is going to be and what the terms are going to be, all of those things. will come under this portfolio, and we'll call it the subscription documents. And these subscription documents will come along with the treaty. This is when we are going to now call for the specific meeting on the ARK. However, the Spirit of Peace and Prosperity Summit continues. This is something that informs them about the progress. This is something that informs them about the opportunity and the vision, etc., where things are and how they can commit and so on and so forth. But we have not, we are yet to reach that. And we thought that at that presentation is when we're going to go through the treaty, because the treaty has a lot of stipulations, you know, a lot of things that they have to agree on, that we're going to present to them as the people, and they have to then deliberate among themselves. So at that point is when we are going to be forming what we call the IGO. The IGO is this intergovernmental organization that is so critical for them. This is what we are proposing, because there's none at the table now. With an IGO status, they have something. So the idea for them is to form, these traditional rulers, to form the IGO status. The IGO status will bring them to the peer of even capacities like the World Bank and the IMF. This is a very powerful position, and they have the right to do so, you know? So they have the right, and they have the opportunities. This will give them a seat at the UN as well. And this opportunity.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I was just kind of thinking that maybe things could be aligned prior to getting the brick and mortar facility in place. You know, I guess to expedite or start that formalized aspect of the process, because waiting for, you know, those plans and a brick and mortar actual facility or place to house or host a meeting or whatever. I mean, a meeting could be hosted before that even takes place, that you actually have the brick and mortar place. Maybe someone would sponsor it at their place or something, but I don't know. These are just ideas, but it
agree with you.
Very promising. And I'm just trying to figure out how, you know, to legitimize everything, formalize everything in a more expeditious way, because, you know, waiting on funding, waiting on buildings to be built, waiting on, I think that can be longitudinal in a sense.
I welcome your ideas on this, and some of these can be even done before the October program. We're hoping to bring at least the Ghanaian traditional rulers together and the October programs, the culinary program. But I think what you're saying makes a whole lot of sense. I will, you know, I support your leadership visions on this. So you bring anything to the table, let's look at it together, let's move it forward, okay?
All right, I'm done talking. Sorry, you guys.
So brothers,
time.
give me the time. Brothers and sisters, and then kings and queens that is here, chiefs. So we got 10 more minutes for question and answers. After the 10 minutes, it will be the conclusion. First of everybody that want to conclude or suggest anything, and then the closing of the founder. And then we're going to be closing with 1 minute silence as well as we open the discussion. But another question that feel free, brothers and sisters, ask any question. So my question to Dr. Wally, obviously I've known you for quite a few years now, and then I definitely here to support. As somebody who lived in the 3 continents, lived or understand the 3 continents, whether the politics or the community, whether in Africa, in Europe, and in the Americas, whether South or North America. The question to you is, what do you have in place for the brothers and sisters who really to go back? Because if you stay in Brazil, a lot of our brothers and sisters in Brazil, they don't even have documents to travel to begin with. Even the United States, a lot of brothers in the United States, they don't even have passport documentation to travel. Some of them, they don't even understand they don't even have the bigger vision about the world. So they think the world is only surrounding the United States. So then, to the brothers in Africa, it's like Africa is divided in two corners, the north and the south. The southern region of Africa, especially the Portuguese speakers, because of the language barrier, there's not much connection to the world, because the Portuguese language really shut them down into a corner that only 7 countries or even 5 countries in Africa that speak Portuguese. And that's it. And then you got Brazil and Portugal. And then whatever comes out of these 5 countries that speak Portuguese, it's what comes out from Portugal first, or Brazil to some extent. So as African View of the ARK has any structure in place or willing to reach out to the brothers and sisters in, for example, Angola, Mozambique, Cape Verde, Guinea, and São Tomé. That's the 5 countries that speak Portuguese. And then if not, I'm willing to support in that regard, just to let you know. Based on obviously I speak about 7 languages, and then I understand what's going on here in Europe. I'm based in the UK. I also understand what's going on in the country, whether in the north or the south, because I understand the geographical point of view has to be in place, rather than just, okay, Nigeria, Ghana, what about Angola, what about Mozambique, what about Zimbabwe, what about South Africa? Everybody has to be included. That's why I wanted to hear your thoughts.
Thank you.
And just
Thank
to
you
let
so
you
much.
know as well, I'm here to support in that regard.
I know. We're together. Thank you so very much. And this is again an example of such support. This is just the beginning. We have a distance to go, but even the farthest distance starts with a step. So here we are. It's so critical to include the Lusophones. Africa. Let's look at the cup half full. At least we have a language with which that exists across the aisle. Otherwise, if we are to speak our traditional tongues, if we are to speak our traditional tongues, we will be speaking of hundreds of languages. So that is some advantage there to all these hegemonic lingua. So for the Lusophone, we're very happy about the cultures that's been cultivated there. And reaching out there, that means that what the Lusophone has to bring to the African pile is immense. Whether it's parallel, whether it's diverse, whether it's variations, we need every aspect of it. And we can just think about it. The best way to go around that really is to reach out to traditional rulers, and make sure that they are present at the table. And of course, if we are to have translators, so be it. We've done many programs with translators when we did a program with the Queen Mothers of Africa and the Queens of Africa. Many of them came to the table. A very, very important program. We had a queen from Madagascar who had a translator. So we need to make sure that every voice counts. So your work is just about to begin. We have to set up, we have to set up properly and make sure we have translators for all of these things, whether it's written, whether it's voice over, all of those things are something that we have to bring to the table. Just like we are bringing the Lusophones to the English world, or to the larger part of the world, because the larger part of the world speaks English. The same concept has to go back to the Lusophones to make sure they too are privileged in all this information sharing and all this development that's going on for us. So our effort must always be two-way traffic, making sure that we give to them, because again, the important part of this is that the part each part, okay, it's so important. Our work means, the importance of our work is that each part must be able to develop and produce at its maximum potential. And it is the responsibility of the whole to ensure that that's the case. So therefore, we need to know what's going on, and we need to be able to support, as well as whatever the part can provide and support for the whole. So this is why this interconnectedness, this interdependency is extremely, extremely important. As it is right now, we're not even talking to each other. We're not even trading with each other. We're not even hanging out. You know, maybe sometimes regional football, we send one group or one country to go play soccer and come back home with a cup, whatever it is that's left of whatever the effort was. Now, in sports, it's great, but sport alone is not enough. So we really got to make sure that it counts where the fundamentals are. You know, even our leaders are not hanging out at the union. So with the Kings, just begin to imagine all the kinds of things that we can do with the traditional rulers, with the kingdoms, with the pride of culture, with the museum representation. Just begin to envision all the things that we can do. And all these things also exist in virtual, not just in physical. Yes, of course, we're building this physical presence, and it's going to be fun doing it, and it's going to be rewarding doing it. But also, the virtual concept is there for us. That's why we bring in techs to the table. A lot of tech potential, among us who are committed to this vision, putting their minds together. We can do something really fascinating. I just hope that I live enough to be part of it. I want to enjoy it too. But it takes one of us to really sustain this and drive it in. And it takes a lot of sacrifice, I've got to tell you. People who know that this is a lot of work behind even moving it to this stage. So
absolutely.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We still have about 5 minutes.
I raised my hands earlier.
There we go. So the floor is yours. A question to the founder or any suggestion. So you got your floor.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Good morning once again. My name is Prince Ayotunji Adebayo. I'm the founder and the president of the Pan-African Back to the Roots. My organization, what we do is we take African descent from here in the United States or any part of the world that are willing to Africa, most especially in Nigeria, and to Ile-Ife to be specific. I've been doing this for 3 years, since 2016. During the Oni US tour to the United States, I'm the one that initiated that program. I don't know if anyone here is aware of that. I believe Dr. Wale is very much part of that program at that time. I overheard from Dr. Bell, is it Bell or Dr. Beck, about, like slightly about funding. The funding was not properly pronounced, or it was not really pronounced, but I was going to ask, how is this project going to be funded? Because that's very critical in this initiative. That's number one. Then a suggestion. I think all the key kings should be approached about this project privately in a private door. In a closed door meeting about how they can come with support of funding the project. I know very well that if Oni of Ife is approached with this very initiative, it will play a very highly important role in trying to rally around other kings to see how they can bring funding to the table. So that's my suggestion, part of it. Then the other question, Dr. Wale, I did not see Ambassador Dr. Arikana in this meeting. Did you invite her privately or wherever? Because I think she should be here. And another thing, there is another group that is coming up with a project called Kingdom of Kush. I don't know if anyone here is aware about it. I met with the gentleman and his group at the Black conference that took place at the Baltimore Convention Center last week. So I think a lot of people doing a lot of stuff that are very similar. It's just that the way we are doing it and the concept is quite different. So for instance, in my own case, I have a tour, an investment going to Nigeria, Republic of Benin, and Ghana, scheduled for this September, October, but we might likely to postpone it because we've not really finished with the groundwork. So that's my, those are my two questions and the suggestion to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Brother Wallet. You got about a couple minutes to respond. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother Alpha. So funding, I think I did mention the economic portfolio that's been built. So, you know, of course, there's going to be, this is going to be based on investments. That's the way we want to design it. But of course, we always accept support, grants, and donations, especially to do the groundwork to get in there. I agree with the idea of the private meeting because all the meetings that we've had with the ONE has been public. Also, he's aware of this project. He's attended the program, I think, 2 times or at least 3 times. He signed the scroll, which is a symbolic support for the ARK. So the ONE is very aware of this. However, we still need to have, I agree with that private meeting. I think it's very, very critical. Hopefully, through you and through Alaye More and the rest, we might be able to have that. But also not just Yoni, but also other kings around the same statue. So yes, we are open to that. But again, we're waiting to complete this portfolio because we want to be able to place something on the table and say, this is what we're talking about, you know. So we can be making type of presentations for these kings. We need a serious portfolio that looks golden and they can see the opportunity. So that's one of the reasons we're moving at this pace. But Doc Mel's recommendation is well taken, and we'll see how we can hasten this process. So I thank you for that question. As for Dr. Arikana, we love our sister. We love our sister very much, and I'm happy that she's on the platform with you. We have a separate platform where we have Garvey, Du Bois, Kutis, etc., Mandela's, and so on. We think that our lines are different. We think, even though our principle really is very inclusive, like we said from the onset, no one is expendable. And you and I work together. I'm very happy to work with you. We love each other and we respect each other. The reason we are slightly reluctant with Dr. Arikana, I will tell you this today. The reason is because when we were distributing, and I'll tell this on the air because it's a fact. The reason, when we started to send out this presentation of the ARK to many of the Ghanaian traditional rulers, one of the Ghanaian traditional chiefs received this document, and we didn't hear back from him. And we saw that he started to do a project in Ghana about the same idea. And they came up with their own land and they want to build Wakanda. And Arikana was utilized effectively in that, in making that noise and getting a lot of people to go. We don't operate like that. We don't. If we take 1 cent from one person, we have to be accountable for it, and we have to make sure that we deliver. So we are very. Again, this is the challenge. Arikana is Dr. Akana is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful sister whose heart is open, and everybody that comes to her, she opens her door, and this makes her vulnerable as well. And I know she wants to help, and you know, we wish we could protect the sister. We want to empower, because I think that her being in power and still being with the AU would have helped us tremendously. But the method and the aggression really has put us in a bind. So there is a necessary amount of diplomacy that is necessary, that is important in dealing with the world. And we expect that at all levels. So this is a challenge we have with the sister. But we hope for resolutions and resolve and opportunity to work together. Thank you.
Okay.
So regarding the Kosh quickly.
Yes.
Is that okay? So the kingdom of Kosh, I don't know if you know what that means. Okay. Kosh. All right. A lot of people don't know, but there is a little barren land between, I think, Sudan and Egypt. It's a very tiny little land. Okay. It's declared a no man's land.
Yes.
It's declared a no man's. We know about it. A lot of people are struggling. The first person to get it was one white guy who put his flag there and said, that's his kingdom. So now everybody is rushing out to that.
A white man.
Yeah. So we know about that. And that's an interesting, that's not what we're talking about here. You know, you can't build anything there. Otherwise, believe me, the colonials would have taken it. Or even the neighbors would have taken it. I mean, why is this land there? Is it just because it's nothing? It's not. So that's not what we're talking about. We're not doing anything because of the land or the opportunity to profit. This is about our people and our healing. It's about the contemporary, the past, and the future. Thank you.
Okay. We'll give the mic to Brother OJM Brazil. And then just telegraphic, if anybody wants to ask any question, be more specific. And because of the time issue, as we said, the meeting is going to last 2 hours. We 9 minutes away for reach 2 hours, and we want to stick with the time. So we'll extend probably for another 10 or 15 more minutes, because we'll be reached 2 o'clock now, because time is excellent and we have to stick with the time. We'll give the floor to Brother Ojame Brazil. Telegraphic.
Okay. Sorry. Thank you so much. Just a few seconds quickly so that I can just comment on something. I'm sorry. I've been jumping from one meeting to another. I'm so sorry. You can see behind me, I have a meeting here. But let me just say something, because I heard so many things about contributions, about how to raise funds, and about how to talk to the kings. And also there was a comment earlier on about people hijacking the project and so on and so forth. Now let me quickly make a point here. And I just want to contribute with my own fairness. Please, I'm very, very close to most of these kings in Africa. You know, I've sat down numerous times personally with them for hours talking, you know, like for instance, sometimes we can sit for 5 hours, you know, from 11 o'clock in the night to like 4 a.m. we are talking. Now, the reason is because I understand them to a large extent. Let me say this, please, I'm advising this group, if you want to do anything with the kings and these kingdoms, there are 3 things that you can get from these kingdoms. 3. And I want to just advise us. Number 1, the first thing is their presence in anything you want to do. That is the first thing you can get from them. The second thing is that their attention. There's a difference between presence and attention. Okay? Their attention on the project or whatever you want to do is very vital, those 2 things. That the third thing is their finance, money. So one of the things that I've learned is that it is more easier to think of how to get their presence and their attention and leave the money, because most of them are with a lot of projects. And when you were like, when the brother spoke down that they spoke with the people in Ghana, and after they didn't hear from them again, they started Project C. We have to be very wise. We are in diaspora. This is how I approach my project. I just approach them asking for their presence or their attention. Anything about money, we have to hear in group, think of how to holistically and cognitive wise get funds for this project. Without funds, we will never move anywhere. Now, I believe we are so much intelligent in diaspora. There are so many ways that we can make a lot of money. I am in Brazil, and I can tell you that there are so many fantastic ways to make millions of dollars to finance ourselves. But my own pattern and system had always been go for what I want, create a strategy to make money from nothing, but what I just need from them is their attention and their presence. Most of the time, when you go to them with funds and funds and funds, we will hit a halt. It will always be stalled. So let's think of that, of how we ourselves here, I'm saying this, can think holistically of contributing and creating money, and getting money, and fun. Sorry. This is very important. I'm saying this because I'm in Brazil and I understand very much that when it comes to project, hijacking project, need help. We have so many fantastic people here who are understanding law and what it comes to registration and securing concepts and ideas. Do you understand? I think we should just approach ourselves and see how we can protect it, and go back. But there's, and the last part I'm going to talk about is there's a lot of distraction. I dislike distraction that doesn't make us move anywhere. Because like I've been hearing, I was purposely following the meeting in the car till I got here. We all distract ourselves and try as much as possible, not to contribute anything. You understand? It pays me to keep quiet. For a project. One is that unless some people here, there are so many ways we can contribute and help ourselves. I'm saying it again. There are so many ways we can contribute, even to raise funds, because most of us have fantastic relationship with places and organizations that can get funds. I'm just supposed to expose it to Mr. A or Mr. B, and we come together and do it. There are so many things that I need that I know Mr. B. Brian Price has, or Dr. Remy has, or anybody else. We do try to trust each other, but we can move on. But what I'm saying is that
his network is really bad.
Yeah, the net brother Ojayami, your network is skipping. So
okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. So because your network is
yeah, because I'm somewhere very far, from the city. So just to finalize what I'm saying, please let's focus on leveraging on their presence and their attention. Anything about money, they will.
Right. So thank you, Brother Ojemi. I will pass on the mic to Her Majesty Queen Aluko. If she have any comments or any question or any suggestion. Queen Aluko, Zimbabwe.
Yes,
After
thank
what
you,
heard,
Bayete.
obviously,
Bayete.
do you have any question or any suggestion?
I am still digesting. I've been listening to each and everyone, and we have a lot of work to do, and I can see that people have started. And this journey, of course, is not just for the people that are on the platform, as we are talking about also the kings and queens of Africa. So
no, we've all.
I just need anybody to mute themselves and then mute whatever they're speaking. I think there's a voice in the background or Yes, Majesty, the floor is yours.
Yes, I'm very, very grateful. I am grateful because I can see that, there is a lot of work that is being done on the ground. And like I said, I am still digesting. Maybe the next meeting I will come up with something, but I'm very, very honored and I'm grateful to be here and listening to each and everyone. It gives me hope to actually know that yes, there is the children of the soil that are doing something. We that are focusing on the better Africa. So that's mostly I can say for now.
Thank you. As we have we've already reached in 2 hours. We will extend for another 50 minutes. So this 50 minutes will be, if anybody wants to ask any question, so please feel free. And then Brother Wale, he will give the answer. And then we're going to have a minute of everybody to conclude or with a suggestion or anything they want to share with us. So as anybody wants to ask any question
Yes.
right now,
This is Fred.
Please, Brother Fred, the floor is yours and just be telegraphic. Thank you.
Thank you, moderator. I really appreciate it. And it's really good to hear everything that I've heard in terms of how deep it can be in terms of planning all of this and seeing things that is pro-Africa. My question is, I continually hearing about Oni of Ife, but I didn't hear anything about Oyo, Alaafin of Oyo. Now, I just want to know if is he part of what is going on too, like Oni of Ife is.
Oh, Brother Wale, the mic is yours.
We're talking about all the kings of the African world, and the Yoruba is very powerful, but it's just one of them. Then we have the Ashanti. We have even we have Sokoto. We have all kinds of we've reached out to many kings in northern parts of Nigeria, northern parts of Cameroon. We reached out. We had this elaborate program of traditional rulers from all over Africa in Ivory Coast. So no, this is about everybody. One of the most precious kings in Africa is in Kenya, and Kenya is the last place for kings because the colonial people they killed all the traditional kingdoms in Kenya for the fear of the Mau Mau. So it's but they forgot one beautiful kings that you're going to love. So we have so many kings. This is what's so precious about Africa. We have so many kings. As a matter of fact, in South Africa, we have a kingdom of women. A kingdom of women, only women that is ruled, that women are the only one who ascends the crown. And there's so many, this is what I'm saying. So it's not just the Oni, but it's good. Right now, there is no Alaafin, by the way. I think they're still, Adeyemi passed away, so they're trying to replace him. Oyo is a great empire, so it was, that power remains at least with the crown. So it's a very, very important heritage. I'm writing some books about this, and I find it interesting, the dynamics of the Kiriji War, the wars between the Yoruba people. But these are very precious things that comes out of what we're doing, isn't it? But we're talking about the whole spectrum. So it's no one king more important than the other. People are just talking about the kings that they're familiar with. So just as we, if some brothers from South Africa were here, they'll be talking about their own king as well. And I say Bayete to the Queen. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bayete.
Can I, excuse me, moderator? This is Prince. This is Prince Ayatunde Adebayo.
Okay, so you got to literally about 30 seconds to ask any question or any suggestion because of the time.
Well, I just wanted to react to the issue, and I like the way Dr. Wale has just, addressed that question right there by saying, no king is special than the other one or whatever. But in terms of hierarchy, we all know the right thing, but some people are following some history that are like an history that could create division, which we should always try to avoid anytime we are speaking. And this is not just because I'm from Ile-Ife and I reckon very well with the stool of Ooni of Ife. If you know the history very well, I'm sorry to really put this in. It's just for future, just for us, maybe this is a platform that we can have the opportunity to really, highlight that. According to the history, the Oduduwa who happened to hold that stool, the Ooni of Ife, and the throne is, transferring down all the way down to the generation coming behind him. But the truth be told, Oduduwa had about 13 children, which are female first, before the 3 men. And among these 3 men is Alaafin himself, you see. But people are trying to want to merge Ooni and Alaafin to be on the same level. We have to be very cautious with this. I am not saying this just because I'm from Ile-Ife, but the truth be told, Alaafin is a child to Ogun himself and not directly to Oduduwa. So today is not the topic for that, but if there is a time that permits us, we can treat this, and I will bring people in who will expatiate more about it. So it's just, a small highlight, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Now we're going to be having a 1 minute either suggestion or conclusion to all of our participants in this group. I will be start off with our great brother in Brazil, Brother Ojemi. 1 minute. Brother Ojemi is not responding, so we move into our great sister.
No,
Mel.
I think he did not put his hands down from the time he raised up his hand to speak.
Yeah, but he's not responding. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. His hands has been up since.
I know that. So we're moving to Sister Mel, United States. 1 minute, suggestion or conclusion. Okay.
Doc Mel?
I'm soaking everything in, digesting everything, and just ready to move forward with the work. Thank you for taking the time to share all of these great ideas. And so now it's about execution. The model that's often used is you set the agenda. You set the agenda by first describing what the problem is, and then you think about what the possible solutions are, and then you think about what the political, fallout, the political circumstances can be in that process. The next stage is, of course, implementation. That is the most important stage of all of this in terms of the actionable items that we can do, the deliverables. So developing that timetable and really following it, and then going through the evaluation stage of it all. Once we've executed these things, let's see how it's working. Let's get some insight. I believe in data to help drive what we do and how we do it so it can be more efficient and more effective. And then the third phase, of course, is the modification phase. And, once we see where we're at with everything, then of course we have to be fluid and flexible and willing to take in all the input that we can to make this a long-term sustainable success. So thanks for the invitation. I'm glad to be here and willing and ready to assist. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Moving to the UK/Mozambique. Sister Louisa. a 1-minute message.
Sorry, I would like to just highlight something. When I was talking, I was a bit nervous and I couldn't conclude everything. So I'm a part of an organization called the Smile of Hope. I remember 2 years ago in the past, we had a link where we have been advised to put the application form to get some funding. It was a lot of money, but it should be an umbrella, but African country, which I can share the link going back with the founding. I think, as one of the brothers says, we all gonna do something. Each of us, we have something to give to the group. And I want to say thank you for you guys to invite me. I think from now on, when everybody was talking, I was just having ideas what we can do, even using Africa. When we talk about medicine side, there's a lot of things we can bring in Africa to sell here to make money. There is a lot of idea we can bring together. Or if we have a place where we can share the link for where we know how we can do things, yeah, we can do it. So I'm glad I'm in this group. Thank you so much. Brother Alpha, thank you. Everybody, sorry, the names. Thank you, all of you guys. And I would like to say as well, also at the moment, because I'm at home, I do help African students to come to UK or even China for studies, because my objective, I think we have to stick with the education in Africa to help our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And just to be mindful as well, Sister Lisa, she's connecting with the Samora Graça Machel, which is the former wife of Nelson Mandela. She made an history of being a wife of two great sons, two great giants of Africa, which is Samora Machel, Mozambique, and then Nelson Mandela, South Africa. So that was just to share with all of you, with all of our brothers and sisters here in this meeting. And just to announce as well, before this meeting closed, I would like you to leave your number, email into the chat, just so the founder can be able to talk to you to feed the information or anything regarding the organization. So I'd like you to leave your contact details into the chat room. There's a chat room, yes, to leave your comments, your details. So moving on quickly, Brother Byron Price, floor is yours, 1 minute. Brother Byron Price.
Yeah, I'm driving, so I had to, I had to make sure I didn't kill myself, but I'm driving. But yeah, I was listening on everything, and one of the things that I was thinking about as the president of African Views, one of the things that I'm doing with respect to, because I heard the question about how you bringing the people from the north, the global north, and the global south together from the U.S. I'm working with people in the Caribbean, but I'm also doing a lot of work related to like raising funds to assist Africans with their rare earth elements and making sure that we build facilities and processing plants within those respective countries, so it's not an extractive relationship. Like I'm doing some work in South Africa. I'm actually working on securing some funding through a partner of mine who basically was Dan Gote's roommate, to help South Africa with a rare earth element facility. Also some work in Zimbabwe with lithium. I know the lithium, the market's still kind of down, but in Zimbabwe, they don't really want to sort of like give all that lithium to the Chinese because it's a very exploitative relationship. So I have access to funding, and I see ways for us to really sort of make this here work is by sort of bringing the diaspora back to Africa to have Africans take advantage of their own resources. And I always believe that Africans should benefit more from their resources than others as well. So I try to work with people that with the mindset of sort of like just being only extractive and exploitative, and to make sure that we can have Africans take advantage and mine their own resources. And so those are just a few projects that I'm working on. And I also see it, I'm also trying to work with some people to try to provide some funding to sort of build the ARK. And I'm really very interested in the Chamber of Commerce. And the last thing I'll say is, I heard a lot of things about what we're talking about, but I think, I was listening to the BRICS. They're talking about how like 24 countries are trying to form BRICS. And I think that a few African countries are coming on board with BRICS. But I think my issue, I like us to see us think about how do we sort of have Africans coming together to sort of make sure that their currency is the currency of choice, as opposed to now you're going into where the Soviet, I guess Russia is leading the way for BRICS. So they want to determine what the currency is. And so I think that's something we ought to think about also as we think about bringing all the traditional rulers together. And so I'll stop there.
No problem, my brother. And please, just to remind again, put your email and your contact details in order to the founder to get all your details and then update you with the latest information about the project. So move on to Brother Remy Alapo. So you got 1 minute.
Sister.
Brother Remy, or Sister Remy, sorry, Sister Remy Alapo.
Yes, it's Sister Remy.
That's what's happened when the videos cut off. That's all we need to see each other. Go ahead.
Thank
You got
very
1
much.
minute. Lovely.
Yes. I echo the same viewpoints from what Dr. Wale has shared. And I'm here to provide any type of support with any project, any information that is needed. So I take my lead from Dr. Wale. So, if you have any questions or anything that you require of me, you can, get to him and he'll always be in touch with me. But I'm here at your disposal.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So moving on to Brother Fred. Brother Fred, 1 minute, either conclusion or suggestion.
It's really an honor to be part of this meeting here, and with everything that I heard, it was really, really very educative for me. And in terms of and to see the presentation that is really made virtual, that you really can't deny that that's something to go after. And of course, what is going to be needed now is to get a goal together to help go after it. And it's really, really an honor to be here.
Thank you so much. And moving on to Brother from the Pan-African back to the roots, is it? Or Africa? 1 minute, conclusion or suggestion.
Okay. Well, I just want to congratulate Dr. Wale for this incredible work that he's doing on bringing all the royalties together and to build a secretariat for them in Ghana.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
I'm available, to any of his requests that will be at my own disposal. I have a nonprofit organization. Maybe along the line, if there's going to be a request for funding, maybe I don't know how the two organizations can partner together. I'm not really using the word partnering together, but in a way to be able to use the two organizations to try to source for funding through donors who may want to support this project. So I will have to talk to my own group as well, that there's an organization doing one wonderful thing that is in collaboration with what we are doing indirectly. However, the nonprofit organization is primarily focusing on creating our own credit union at this point. So, but with the nonprofit organization, we should be able to see how we can rub minds together and see how we can use the organization to explore the funding opportunities that is out there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And then moving on to Her Majesty, Queen Aluka from Zimbabwe. So you got 1 minute
Yes, I
for
like.
your close remark or suggestion.
Yes, I just like to thank everybody. Like I said, you have already planted the seed. Now it is time to harvest. You have planted maybe the seed, not most seed, I should say. And what I would like to, I was in Nigeria, to my brothers there from Nigeria. I was in Nigeria 3-4 weeks ago, and
Wow.
met a wonderful people. I went to Igojo Kingdom. Igojo, yes, Kingdom, because my husband is from Nigeria, he's Yoruba. So there you are. You've got a queen from Zimbabwe married to someone from Nigeria, Yoruba. And what I want to ask is, I heard somebody talking, was it Dr. Wale talking about Zimbabwe? And I don't know who you are connected with in Zimbabwe.
Yes.
I don't know who you are connected with in Zimbabwe because
Kwani Sai.
Sorry?
Kwani Sai.
Kwani Sai. Yes,
Yes.
I am also, the vice president of Zimbabwe Indigenous Movement, running alongside His Majesty Joshua Maponga.
Perfect.
I don't know if you ever heard of Joshua. You know Joshua Maponga.
Yes, the famous.
Yes.
Yeah. Who
Marara.
wouldn't? Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
So this is not a secret, because what happened is Joshua Maponga was supposed to run for president for 2023.
Interesting.
And I was running for vice president. So, but because of our background, being from royalty, you can't do that. That is why everything was silenced. We actually did that because we realized that that was not a smart move. So, but anybody wants to get in touch with the Zimbabwe side, please. I've left my email address, my phone number, and I am here to work with everybody. I'm here to also get some advice and to work with everybody.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for putting this wonderful organization together.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Right. So
thank you very much, my prince. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you, and you were doing a wonderful job. Thank you so much.
I will then leave the floor to Brother Wally to close this amazing meeting. And then the question always being not what Africa can do for us, but what we can do for Africa. And then as most of our brother already enlightened here, most of our chiefs in Africa, most of our kings and queens, because of the name, people think they have a lot of money, millions. But realistic now, they got a wisdom and they got the land and the resources. It's down to us here in diaspora to create the fund to help them. It's to come to them and say, this is the project, this is what we have. We just need your endorsement. We need your presence. Just like I've been doing with a lot of kings in Africa. Because at times, I can tell you, I've been to so many countries in Africa, chiefs and local traditional leaders. They don't have money as a paper, but they got the wisdom. They got the knowledge. They got the resources. So, and that's what we need to do here in diaspora. Because so many of us, like, I believe 99% of our people, of ourselves here in this meeting, we lived in diaspora. We're not leaving the continent. I live in the UK, but 3 times a year, I'm going back in different countries in Africa. That's what I do. That's my commitment. And then sometimes I just been to the United States 2 weeks ago, not a week ago. I was actually with Brother Wally, with Dr. Wally. And then I had a meeting with the Congress senators in Washington, D.C. about Africa, the human rights in Africa. So my job is really about travel all over the world my base is mainly in the UK, but I also back and forth between the continent. But I travel over the world, really reach out to the brothers and sisters so we can work together to empower our continent. And then what brother Dr. Wally is doing is amazing. And then you can count on me 100%. Anything that you need me to do, I'll be here to serve. It's really about us serving each other. So that's me. That's my conclusion. I will then, I'll put my contact details as well. I'm one of the representatives of Queen and Zinga from the Kingdom of Congo. Alpha Quabo, I work with a lot of different radios and TV stations around the world, really to promote ourselves. And I also thank brother Dr. Wale to give me the opportunity to be here in this meeting, and then to give me the honor to be your moderator for today. I'm then give the mic to Dr. Wale to close the meeting.
Thank you so much. I feel so honored and so grateful for everything you've said and what everyone have said today. What we have done here is a giant leap in African time, because we are making an effort to really place the jigsaw puzzle of the Lusophone into the African world and making it firm in the right place. This is a giant leap in African time. And doing it, especially on this particular issue. I know the strength of the capacity of people assembled here today, and I'm incredibly appreciative. What I would recommend is that perhaps we create a WhatsApp group, because now we here have this unique knowledge about what we are doing, and we can begin to build this up. We could call it the Committee of the ARK, which again allows us to continue to share ideas and you know, put together all the things that we've talked about in practical sense. I would appreciate that if everybody agrees to that. So we'll make effort to do that with all your information provided here. And Brother Alpha and I would continue to work on adding other people who are on the same perspective to help move this forward. I think that would be important. Okay, so, and that would only focus on the development of the ARK. So we call it Committee of the ARK. I think we've earned that with this presence here today. Once again, my queen, I say Bayete. It's a pleasure to have you all. And I'm just grateful. I think everything has been said, and the plan to continue this conversation in the platform is a good thing. I also want to thank my very precious brother Prince for being here. And I know you love your Ilefe so much. We're gonna talk about that. But this is a good thing. We're very passionate about our cultures and traditions and our kingdoms, and we're very proud of them. And that is a good attitude to have. And that's one thing we want to welcome. And because that's what's going to require us to create that presentation of what our values are. The world is waiting for it, and there's nothing like it yet. So that means we are really bringing something special to the world. May God help us all to deliver this. I can't thank you enough. May God bless you. Thank you.
So just to announce, obviously, all the details are on the screen. So please familiarize with the information. As we're going to be closing with the 1 minute silence, and then we're just going to give everybody can switch their video off, and then we're going to give like 5 minutes for everybody to take the details of anybody that you could feel that relevant to support what you do. But obviously, the founder, Dr. Wale, also is going to take your details, and then I expect to get in touch by the founder. Most of the numbers here, it's a WhatsApp number. Please put your international code as well, just so anybody can access your WhatsApp. It's really important. Right now, 1 minute silence to remember, respect all of our great ancestors, as we've done in the beginning, we also do at the end. 1 minute silence now. Thank you so much. It's such an honor to, to be part of this great meeting. And just to announce as well, we understand and understand it's not only about the virtual meeting, but it's really about the physical. Because our fight is not only about virtual, but it's physical and spiritual. So therefore, African Views organize events all over the world, whether in the United States or in Africa, be out. So be ready to be part of this these great events that are really about us coming together, because ultimately we have to. These meetings, these virtual meetings, is just for us to get to know each other. But it's nothing more better than us meeting physically, just so we can then sign agreements, we can sign commitments, and we have to do physically. So be out for these physical meetings that the African Views, the ARK organized. Yes. So thank you so much. My name is Alpha Quabo. All the contact is right in your chat room. So feel free to get your contact, and then don't be expect the message from the founder of the African Views. And thank you so much, and have a blissful, great weekend.
Brother Alpha.
Yes,
Brother
sir.
Alpha, quickly. I suggested that we have a WhatsApp group on this topic. If everybody is okay with that, it'll be good to know. I also want to say many thanks to Dr. Price for all his efforts in really moving the United States forward in the right way. I'm so proud of him. He's doing a tremendous job. And I want to tell him that I'm very happy that we're able to move the meeting to 9 a.m.
Wow.
So anyway, as well as everybody else, obviously, thank you so much for all of that. But I would like to know if that's okay with everybody. So go ahead and set up this WhatsApp group.
So as the founder asked, a quick answer. Dr. Mel, is okay for you to be included in the WhatsApp group? Dr. Mel, United States. She's not responding. Louisa, UK.
Yes, it's okay. I was trying to maneuver the phone, but yes, it's fine.
Louisa, UK.
Yes,
it's okay
I'm
for you
fine.
to be.
Yeah.
Dr. Raimi, United States. / Nigeria.
I'm
You
sorry,
okay
I
to
didn't
be,
hear your question clearly.
so it's okay for you to be included on the WhatsApp group?
Oh, of course, anytime.
Thank you. Brother Fred, it's okay to be included in the WhatsApp group.
Very, very much okay.
I'm sure Brother Ojemi okay. I'm sure the other brother as well is okay. I am okay. So please, Dr. Wally, feel free to do so. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And then again, a blissful and an absolutely lovely weekend for everybody.
Thank you so much.
And you too.
Thank you so much.
Ashe.
You too.
Ashe.
Thank you, Dr. Wale,
Thank you.
for the wonderful opportunity.
Thank you so much. Happy weekend, everybody. Talk to you
Yes, sir.
later.
Happy weekend to you, sir.